Hey, welcome. We are in week 9, which means we just have, oh my goodness, we only have till week 12. So we are really getting down to the bitter end here. We're working in chapter 7, which is using painting tools in Adobe Photoshop Creative Cloud Revealed, our textbook. And so I'm going to demo the first couple for chapter 7, and then I will leave you to work on your own, but of course with the caveat that you can always request additional demos if you need them. Now by this point in time you will want to have opened your Photoshop document 7-1 and saved it as painted farm scene underscore your name. And then we are going to make sure that get rid of this, make sure that the rulers are visible, and make sure that you have established your 0 point up in the upper left hand corner, starting point in the upper left hand corner of your document. Make sure that you're working in the painting workspace rather than Essentials, which we have worked in a few times. And then make sure that the document size is what's showing in the, oh geez Louise, there, document sizes. All right. Now we're going to get the Sharpen tool, which if you don't have it available or see it under your Tools panel, check under your Blur tool. Quite often that's the one that's showing by default. We want the Sharpen tool. And then we want to go to the Brush Presets up in the either here, or if you click on this down-facing arrow, by the brush size that is on your options bar when you pick the Sharpen tool, you'll see that we can change the options there. You want to make sure that it's a 30 pixel size. You want to make sure that it's at 100% in the strength box. And when it says the 6th preset for the brush, you want to make sure it's hard, round, pressure, opacity. Now in mine, it doesn't work out to the 6th, I don't think. You'll see that I have a lot of brushes that I've worked with over the course of the last couple of days. So I just make sure that the hardness is at 100%, the size is at 30 pixels, and the strength's at 100%. And that will be the same or similar to what they're asking for you to do in the textbook. Now with the scene layer active, and you want to make sure that you're in your layers panel, make sure that the scene layer is active, and then we are going to drag the brush pointer from 35x to 35x and 345y to 35x 570y. So we would want to be at 35. This must be 50. 35 would be about here. 345 would be about here to 570, which would be the end of the document. So we're just going to click and drag here, and you'll see that does sharpen it a bit there. Now we're going to press and hold Shift, click the image in the lower left hand corner at 860 by I'm sorry, click and the Shift in the lower right hand corner at 860, 570, 860x, and 570y. Then release. And instead of dragging to create a brush stroke from point to point, you can just click a starting point, press and hold Shift, and then click an ending point, and it will create a perfectly straight brush stroke. So again, we're going to press and hold Shift, and we're going to click the image in the middle right, and then release. And you can see the impact here that these are all, again, sharpened areas. And I don't really think that bottom area is sharpened quite enough. I'm going to again get the sharpen tool and I'm going to click over here once, and then I'm going to click over here, and you can see that sharpens it a little bit more. All right. Now, one of the tools that you can also work with in a correction mode is a red eye tool. Remember, the red eye effect is the appearance of red eyes in photos, and it results many times as when you're using a flash in the evening or in a darkened environment. You can use this red eye tool, and this one is hidden right underneath the patch tool on your tools panel. And you'll see this red eye tool, and I don't have any red eyes to show you right now, but with the textbook there will be a couple of options for you to be able to use this later on. It does, all you have to do is click and drag it over any red eye in an image, and it does correct it. So again, it's a nice tool. We're not going to practice it right now. Now we're going to burn an area, and burn is kind of from an old photography, dodge and burn. So we are going to look under the dodge and burn tool, or under the dodge tool, or the sponge tool if the burn tool is hidden. Mine happens to be out, but it would be O is the quick key in order to access, and you access any one of these three, the dodge, burn, or sponge. And again, we want to work with the burn. And you want to go back up here to the presets, and you want to make sure that the size is set at 50. And you want it soft, round pressure, and you want the exposure at 100%. So again, we're going to make sure that this is soft, which hardness is a rating here on the this continuum. At 100%, that means it's obviously really hard. At 0%, it's not hard at all. We're going to leave it at the not hard, 50 pixels, and we're going to do the exposure at 100%. And you can also change this brush tip size by pressing either the left bracket or the right bracket key. The right bracket increases the brush tip, the left bracket decreases it. So we are going to, without using that right now, we are going to drag the brush pointer in the clouded area at approximately 50x and 150y. To 50x at time and 80y. And you can see how that darkens that. And now we're going to drag back and forth through the clouds in the upper right area. And those measurements, I do read them obviously, but I'm going to do this visually just because I think it's a little bit easier for you to see, focusing on the impact rather than on the numbers that we're using. And if you get too heavy-handed, like obviously I have done right there, then all you have to do is go up to your window, go down to History, and let's back off that just a bit. In fact, if I wanted to, I could back all the way back here. And I might even change this exposure back a bit. I just think it looks awfully dark as I'm doing this. So still. And again, that's the burn tool. You can use the dodge tool to lighten areas. Its results are obviously the opposite of the burn tool. It can easily degrade an image, so you do have to be careful with it. Both the dodge and the burn tools are best used on small, precise areas. And for example, here, if I thought that I had darkened that a little bit too much, I could go back in, rather than going back in my history, get the dodge tool and maybe lighten that just slightly. Okay, that's it for dodge and burn, and I will be back in just a moment to take you further into the Chapter 7 with maybe one or two more demos. See you in just a few.